Good morning, YouTube. How's everybody on a probably chilly morning where you're at? We're going to do a little drive and talk along this morning. Let me lower my radio. Sorry about that. And it's 39 degrees here in northern South Florida. So that's pretty chilly for us. Luckily, my car comes with seat heaters because I definitely need them this morning. And I actually have to get to Costco to get some gas. So while we're driving and talking, I thought that we would discuss emergency fund building. Now, there's a ton of people out on YouTube that talk about building your emergency fund and why you need to have it and the importance of it. And I can say all the same things, and maybe at the end of the video, depending on my time, I'll go into some of that. But what I find, or what I don't find on YouTube, is people who are actually telling you some strategies on how to build it. So, you know, people say, well, sell something, or, you know, just like these really generic things. And most of their videos are focused on, you need 3 to 6 months, this is where to park it, blah, blah, blah. So I did some searching, and I just really couldn't find some good tactical strategies on how to actually build the emergency fund. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And remember that the best lobster rolls. Remember that the strategy is that it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you're not going to build your emergency fund in a month. Unless maybe, of course, you did something wonderful like win the lotto. But for the most part, school zone. For the most part, it's going to take a while for you to get there. So you got to go into it with that mindset right away that it's going to be, it's a little bit of a slog. So I like to say that word. It's a slog. So let's talk about kind of the first thing you hear about. People say, well, sell stuff. Okay, there's nothing wrong with selling stuff because we all have things in our house that we got to get rid of, right? Clothes. I have craft supplies. You know, maybe there's hobbies you don't do anymore. Maybe there's like lots of kitchen stuff that you don't use, don't want, what have you. So yes, you can sell those on Marketplace or on eBay or, you know, whatever methodology, Poshmark if you have clothes, whatever, you know, venue you want to use. But you got to know that, you know, that's not necessarily instant. You know, someone isn't going to, you know, you list something and they're going to buy it the next day. So yes, it's a strategy, but it's not an instantaneous strategy. So have that in mind. Plus, like if you're using something like a Poshmark or eBay, it's going to, you know, take fees and things like that. And then you got to ship it, and, you know, you got to factor in shipping costs and all that kind of stuff. And I think people just throw things on eBay thinking, oh, I'm going to sell this for $10 or $15 or whatever. And, you know, then eBay takes at a minimum 13%. Then you got to ship it, blah, blah, blah. So keep that in mind. Again, not a bad strategy. That's why Marketplace, I think, is kind of the best, because there's no transaction fees and you're just meeting with people. And here's a little safety tip. Like, we don't like people coming to our house, and probably most people don't. So again, I work in public safety, and at our building, we have a, they call it the something zone. Can't think of the first word. I look at the sign all the time. But basically in front of our department, because we're fire and police, there is a parking area, and it's all under camera because everything in that building is under camera. And you can do your transaction, and, you know, whatever you're selling, you can do your transaction there, and you can feel safe because you're at a police department. And I don't think anyone's going to show up at a police department that has a felony warrant. I mean, you'd be surprised they do, but for the most part, that, you know, it's going to be safe for you. I even see people, this one couple, they obviously are divorced, and they have a couple kids, and that's where they trade their, you know, they drop the kids off to each other in front of our department. So again, because it's safe. And you're on camera. So the other ideas that I've come up with is, the first thing is you got to scrutinize your budget, right? So there are probably things in your budget that you can cut out. But when you cut those things out, they immediately have to go into your emergency fund, okay? So I'll give you an example. I was spoiling myself, and I would do a massage every month, and it was like part of a subscription with a local spa, and it was $80 a month, and then I got to tip the girl, right? So I'm out $100, and I'm not saying that the massage doesn't feel good, and probably somewhat need it because of my stress levels from work, but I mean, that's $100 I'm now diverting. Actually, I'm trying to pay the car off. So you can use this as an emergency fund strategy, or I guess if you're trying to pay down debt. But, you know, like, look for things like that, you know, you are spending money on and you're wondering, do I really need to spend this money? Okay, so scrutinize your budget. Well, first of all, you should have a budget. So I hope you do. But if you don't, start your budget. That's another video. And then what can you cut out and immediately divert over into an emergency fund? And again, your emergency fund has to be separate from your regular savings, if you have a regular savings or you have sinking funds. So you do want to do it separately. And if you can also set something up through direct deposit at work, you should be doing that as well and diverting that over into your emergency fund, even if it's $10, okay? Like I said, this is a slog because you're going to be saving thousands of dollars, not hundreds of dollars, but you got to start making the efforts, right? So scrutinize your budget. Yes, you can sell things, and once you sell them and you get that cash, or you're doing Zelle or one of the money apps, move the money into your emergency fund immediately. Do not put it into your wallet, you know, because it's going to get spent and then you just kind of wasted that effort. All right, next thing that I wrote down that I thought was a good idea was have a no spend month. Those are quite popular. You'll see a lot of videos on YouTube about them, and I'm not going to get into all that, but again, whatever you're not spending, if you choose to do a no spend month, you want to make sure that that money, again, gets diverted into your emergency fund savings account. So there's another one that you can start throwing some money into. Scrutinizing when you're doing your budget, look at your subscriptions. And I did that recently, and it's amazing all the things that I had that I didn't really think I had. You know, I'm like, oh yeah, I've got Peacock. That's our the one thing that we use to watch TV, which we don't really watch a lot of it, but you know, there's a couple things that we like, so you know, you do that. But then there's certain like vitamins and things that I'm on that I follow a regimen for, and those are all on subscription because I quote unquote save 10%. But what I was finding was, you know, these things automatically get deducted from your checking account, and I felt like I had no control over it. So when I need them, I'll just buy them. And I mean, it's not really, you know, I'm not saving that much money, and I have control of my checking account again, not some subscription service. And then I also have, I have a whole list of things. Hang on, let's stop here at the light, and let me talk about some of this one. Oh, reducing your car insurance, because I just did that, and I saved $250 every 6 months, so $500 a year. And the money that I was saving and setting aside for my car insurance, I can reallocate part of that into my emergency fund. Your grocery budget, you know, one thing you might want to do is obviously you meal plan, you have a list, and then use a calculator while you're shopping. Because whether you're shopping on Walmart.com or some other online thing, or you're in the store, like take out your phone, every phone has a calculator, and start adding as you go. And you'll be surprised at what happens there. And then with that, you know, stop eating out, of course. If you do have like an eat out budget, maybe cut it in half. Maybe you only go out once a month, and use the rest of that budget to fund your emergency fund. Paying with cash is another strategy. I know we've all just gotten so used to using our debit and our credit cards. But there was a time where we went to the bank and we put just the quote unquote ATM card into the little machine and took out money. Or if you're in my age group or older, you would, and I remember doing this with my mom, we'd actually go to the bank and she'd have her check and she'd ask for certain denominations, and my mom was kind of like an envelope woman. And so that's where I got that from. So you could still do that. You could still go do a withdrawal slip at the bank. And, you know, if you want to allocate so much money for your categories and use cash, because then what you find with your cash is you're getting your coins back. You can roll your coins, use that for your emergency fund. Again, watch the penny video because you'll want to keep certain years of pennies for yourself. So paying with cash. And then like what I do is I have a spending cash envelope, and at the end of my 2 weeks, when I get paid again, and I'm going to refund that, whatever I have left in there, whether it's $2 or $10, that's another allocation for my emergency fund. Again, all these little things, these little baby steps that you're taking add up to more money. And again, scrutinize your budget, your paycheck, and can you start throwing like 25 or 50 bucks into an account every payday, which is, you know, will give you a little bit more of a jump. Again, you can get a second job or a side gig or something like that if you want to do any of those things. And again, the thing is that you're allocating that money just for your emergency fund, because you know that that's going to happen one day. The emergency is going to come. It always does, whether you crack a tooth, you know, your pet gets sick, just, you know, life. That's what the emergency fund is there for. And I think Dave Ramsey has a really good saying where he says, the emergency fund takes an emergency and turns it into an inconvenience. Because when you have the money, it's just an inconvenience, right? And this is one thing here. This is my little strategy. I'm at Costco, and we all know that Costco has the cheapest gas. So when I allocate so much money for my gas, and for the 2 weeks, and anything extra, so let's say I allocate 40 bucks. So, and I usually never use the whole $40. If I'm going on a trip or going to Orlando or something, that's a different story. But what I do is, so let's say it comes out to $33.64, whatever. So I just say, okay, so I spent, in my head, I go, okay, I spent 34. So I take that 6 and I move it into my emergency fund. Ooh, look at that sun. It's kind of bright today. So yeah, so I hope that some of these strategies will help you. Let me just park over here real quick and just see if there's anything else that I missed that I wanted to kind of give you as a concrete thing. So subscriptions, calories, don't eat out, your discretionary spending, anything you come under budget for, pay with cash, selling things, declutter, the auto transfer of your savings. Oh, and ladies, like, you know, are you going to get a manicure and pedicure, and can you do it yourself? Because those things add up. You can go buy some nail polishes over at the Dollar General and just do it yourself. Same with your hair. Some people feel comfortable cutting their hair. I haven't cut my hair in, I don't know, 6 months. So I'll probably go for a trim. Maybe I just go twice a year instead of every 3 months now. Increase your income. We talked about that. Oh yeah, and then the last thing is, like, if you're one of these people that likes to go out with your friends and stuff all the time, you know, everyone's in the same boat. So if you said, hey guys, let's why don't we have a game night and everybody bring something and do something like that instead, that can save a lot of money from your discretionary spending and you're going out. And then and you can have a lot more fun because you're not at a bar, it's not loud, you can hear each other, you know, whatever. So just a few strategies today to actually put money in your emergency savings. I hope they help. If you have any more that you want to share, put them in the comments below so we can try to build our community and help each other out. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. This will probably go out Saturday morning, so enjoy where you are, the weather, get outside, breathe some fresh air. If you have some sunshine, get out in it and enjoy it. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.